This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. And just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Kessler is in the house. He'll join at the bottom of the hour, maybe a truncated, or we can even extend the top 5 at 5 to the 5:15 segment if necessary. It's up to you. Depends on how much you have.
I mean, there's some. The most important stuff is the Vikings injury report, which
we're starting to put the band back together a little bit, aren't we?
A little bit. We may have to take a break in the middle of the injury report, though, and come back and give you the last couple.
Yeah, might be right.
But the biggest one is that Christian Darrisaw was a full participant in practice today. They are still waiting for him to make his 2025 season debut. He has not done that yet. So he was full today, and Kevin O'Connell telling reporters we'll see how he feels after today, and hopefully we'll have him tomorrow and Friday and the next day.
I mentioned in the pre-show tweet that we were going to talk about some Darrisaw disinformation. This is some of it, but we'll save that maybe for the next segment so we have a chance to expand upon it, because I found the KOC's answer to that question a little bit too cute by half, at least for me, but we'll save that. But I mean, we are getting some other people back as well, correct?
Who are you looking for?
Well, what about isn't Gink? Now he hasn't been cleared yet, but he is practicing. Is he not?
Yep, he was limited today. Okay. Gink was limited. Harrison
and Smith is back. We think Hitman might well be back.
He was limited. And speaking of too cute by half, KOC's phraseology about that, like, very good chance he might possibly make his debut.
Correct.
It was a KOC answer.
Yeah, it was, for sure.
Just a brilliant KOC answer. Darrisaw's replacement, Justin School, did not participate, but it did have something to do with injury, concussion. Ryan Kelly did not participate with his concussion. Grenard was limited with an oblique. Donovan Jackson was limited with a wrist.
And maybe it's not as good as I'd hoped.
Theo Jackson was limited with a hip. We know about JJ. Josh Oliver was limited. Akuda was a full participant. That's good.
That was the other encouraging.
He has a concussion or had a concussion as well. So that's what we know on the Vikings injury report. Let's see if I have my athletic subscription pulled up to the right one.
Before you get to that, can I mention real quick, your Minnesota Lynx are in action tonight with a chance to advance out of round one, because there were 2 other series yesterday where there was 1-0 with road teams having a chance to end it. And they both lost, so the series extended.
Getting emotional. Talking about it.
I got coffee. I should have brought water. This is our chance to just end it, right? Because we're on the road in San Francisco tonight against the Valkyries.
Yes, the game you can hear right here on the Fan. And I like this. Remember, it used to be that the road team would get game 3 in the first round?
Yes, that's right.
This is another sign they're a real league.
They're willing to spend the extra money to go back and forth, and in this case, decent-sized flights between here and San Francisco, Davey.
Yes, and technically, they're actually in San Jose tonight because
I didn't realize that.
Of my sport, the Laver Cup is at the Chase Center.
No kidding.
And it was one of those things where that's been scheduled for like 4 years.
So they're San Jose tonight.
Yeah, basically, It's been scheduled for years before like the Valkyrie were even a thing. And so it's been kind of this thing all summer. If the Valkyrie make the playoffs, they're not going to get to play at their home stadium. They're going to have to go somewhere else, and that came to fruition. So they're just down the road in San Jose. Brianna Stewart's going to try to play, by the way, tonight, game 2
with an MCL.
Mm-hmm.
Tough gal.
Yes, with the Mercury and Liberty. The Liberty up 1-0.
So Vegas lost yesterday to Seattle. That's their first loss in like 4 months. And they were ahead, I think, in that game like by 11 with a chance to sweep that series too. So now it's 1-1. They go back home, I think, to win it.
The other thing we're kind of monitoring, I believe, we're supposed to get word about the MVP today in the WNBA, I think, because they did Rookie of the Year yesterday.
Will Clark get any votes? Seems unlikely.
They did Coach of the Year, and the Valkyries coach won it, which not surprising. It's their first year they're in the playoffs. And I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be today or tomorrow for the MVP.
And our gal won Rookie of the Year.
Paige Becker's
But it was not unanimous. We're back to that bitter nonsense.
Nearly
unanimous, but we got to find out who the voters were who didn't vote her in. It's amazing.
Oh, Hopkins will find out.
Yeah,
somebody from Hopkins.
Hopkins will forgive, but it will not forget.
Dan Hayes from The Athletic reported late last night, I think it was, that the Twins eliminated 4 of the 5 members of their pro scouting staff. A move that one league source described as part of wait for it, cost-cutting measure by team ownership. Apparently, scouting has been stripped down a lot in terms of in-person scouting.
Yes.
Kevin Kernan's talked about it forever, right? Every time people do video now, they don't travel as much anymore.
Much to his bitterness.
And they may have had plans to do this forever, but it's just...
Well, here's my question. I'm glad you brought this up, because I put it under the classification of, could this be the first case of what we'll call PDS? Could this be Pollad derangement syndrome?
I think it kind of is.
At the start, was like, I was triggered. Like everybody, I'm going, God, we're going hard on this. But if you read deep enough into the Dan Hayes story,
I think you're
here's
right.
what he writes. The limiting or elimination of pro scouting departments is becoming a trend across baseball as teams have been relying on video scouting more and more in recent years. 10 months ago, the Cubs, who, by the way, just clinched a wild card berth, drastically reduced their pro scouting department as well. So, look, let's face it. I don't think the Pollads mind if they've got a ready-made excuse to save more money. But this one might well be just a baseball industry trend, for better or worse, that is not necessarily related to the Pollads. So we could have our first case. That's what we got to be careful of. There's plenty of material to rip the Pollads, but we do not want to fall prey to PDE, Pollad derangement, PDS, I should say, Pollad derangement syndrome.
Well, maybe we should do the bit we did in the first term for President Trump.
That's right.
The overcooked Trump controversy of the day, or perfectly cooked Trump controversy of the day.
This one looks maybe slightly overcooked.
I think it's, because I read the same thing. I said, well, if the Cubs are doing it, they don't have any financial issues.
No, they don't. That's for sure.
I mean, so... It, obviously, everything kind of gets lumped into the same thing with the Pollads.
It's hard to give them the benefit of the doubt. That much I understand.
All right, well, that's what I got.
That's good. That was a good mix right there. All right, we'll get a quick follow-up regarding the Darrisaw story that's kind of stuck in my craw, and then we will prepare for Kessler at about 5:30. It's official. The governor is running for a third term. That broke yesterday, of course. We'll get to that and a number of other stories with Kessie in a matter of minutes.
Home Services has your shot at 4 tickets to see Green Bay take on the Purple in early January, plus $500 in game day cash. You can register for your chance to win today on the KFAN contest page, KFAN.com/furnace to enter as well.
Find out if Kessler was at that 84-13 Gopher loss in Nebraska on this date in 1983. I'm guessing it was. Certainly old enough to be.
Yes.
But we'll find that out next segment as well.
We have a new celebrity that he harassed into a photo at the Vikings game. I don't know if you know this.
No. Oh, good.
I'll let him
save that.
I'll let him unveil.
And I think there's also, he's got a Redford anecdote.
Yeah.
That I was kind of intriguing on the basis of his notes.
Yes.
About the time Redford apparently rat-a-tat-tatted on somebody's door in Minneapolis. So that could be a good backstory, too. You mentioned earlier the Darrisaw update and the quote from KOC. He should have a full participation day today. We'll see where he's at. I think he's been progressing exactly on the timeline with the injury he had. I think he did such an unbelievable job throughout the offseason of getting to a place where he was medically cleared to do some things. I think Christian's expectations and desire to be on the field is driving everything right now. Look, this is not worthy of the Watergate scandal. I'm not suggesting it's on that level in terms of disinformation or misinformation. But let's be clear about this. The Vikings definitely, strongly left the impression that he was going to be ready to start the season. They may never have declared it, but it was implied. And they certainly never went out of their way to say, hey, look, let me caution you guys. We think he's moving along well, but there's no guarantee on anything here. We might have to slow play this a little bit. And that's how it sounds now. They're acting like, what? What? What do you mean? He's right on schedule. He's doing everything on schedule. No, when you all along training camp say on schedule, you're leaving the impression, and I think there were a couple times where maybe the question was even asked more directly, that he was going to be ready for the start of the regular season, right? Now, they may be doing the right thing with him, or perhaps there were a couple of markers that concerned them a little bit about slowing down the process or making sure that we didn't rush it. I'm not here to say the smart thing is to be reckless, but I am here to say that there has been a lot of spin, and definitely the suggestion was when the regular season starts, Christian Darrisaw is going to be ready to start on time, correct? Regardless of the Soldier Field situation, which obviously wasn't the whole story because they didn't even, they made him less questionable or more questionable for game 2 than they did game 1 when they listed him as questionable. Exactly.
That's why it's weird. And they gave the hope kind of that whole week that, we're going to see, we think, and there was never. That's why it's weird, because if he was so close to that, a pregame warm-up might dictate that he was going to play.
Yes.
That just seems like fool's gold. So to me, and I know KOC doesn't like to hear the did he have a setback thing, because that's what Seifert asked him, but it appears like something kind of changed. Parker Fox actually talked about it on the morning show, I think today. I think he was with them, because he had all kinds of knee injuries, including ACLs and MCLs and things. And he talks about sometimes there's what's the way he phrased it? There's a time period in the recovery, which is about where Darrisaw is now, where there is some risk to actually re-injuring it more than at any other part of your recovery timetable. So it's sometimes more prudent to be much more careful than you ordinarily would be. So he kind of speculated maybe that's what they're doing at this point.
Correct.
But it's all just kind of speculation. But I don't think anybody thought when we were at TCO in August that it'd be week 3 and we'd still be waiting for Darrisaw with no real update.
I also, we touched on this briefly with Seifert yesterday, but I think we need to go back to it. I don't think we can talk about it enough. If you take a hard look at this Vikings schedule, the next 3 weeks, I should say the next 3 games, I think are pretty critical. And obviously the timing's not good because they're pretty hampered by injury, starting with the starting quarterback, although the quarterback they're putting in actually has more experience than the guy he's replacing. If you look at the schedule, how it ramps up after we come back from our European two-step, it's the
next 4 are very difficult.
Dicey. It's big time dicey at that point. So you got to find a way to muck through it now. And even if we got to grind out victories, maybe it looks like 17-13. Doesn't have to look pretty, but I do think you got to get some W's. You got to line up some W's here, or this thing could go pear-shaped pretty quickly, even at a point where you start getting healthier again, where then the rest of the season you're kind of playing come-from-behind football in terms of the standings, in terms of your win-loss record. So that's what I think you got to take full advantage of the fact that you're playing 3 straight weeks now, certainly beatable teams.
Yep.
Even if you're hurt, right? Because Cincy is also without its starting quarterback.
Yep.
Who do we have the next week? Next week is Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh and Dublin.
And then you've got Cleveland that's still goofy. Their whole quarterback situation is a mess, right?
Yes.
So to me, and those are both supposed to be road games that are obviously you're going to have as many fans, maybe more, than the other team. So when we look back on however this season goes, I think it may well come back to how we handle these next 3 weeks, starting with the Sunday game. You never can plot and predict how it's going to go, but on the basis of injuries that have piled up to the degree they have in the quarterback situation, I still think you have to find a way to muck through, hopefully with your defense, maybe leading the way, and maybe you get a little something from Wentz as well, or you get the running game going, whatever the case may be. Because, look, Pittsburgh's 1-1. A-Raj, their issue is that their defense looks awful. Pittsburgh's defense looks dreadful through 2 games. They're certainly beatable. And Cincy, as I said, without their starting quarterback, beatable, and Cleveland as well. So I don't think to me, at a minimum, you got to win 2 out of 3, and I actually think you probably need to sweep.
I think you need 3
to put yourself in position where you got a little breathing room for that next middle section of the schedule, which is Murderer's Row.
The 4 out of the bye, Eagles, and then right away with the Chargers on a Thursday night on the road. That's tough.
I'm beginning to think the Chargers are for real, not so much because of the QB, but because of the defense. You can tell he's building what Harbaugh does. Harbaugh is a great football coach. And you can see he's molding another team to his approach.
Lions and Ravens are the final two out of there. That's a tough month.
That's a tough stretch. There's no question about that. Bottom of the hour pause here. Did we already do the Vikings report? We did, didn't we?
We did.
That's outstanding. Kessler is in the house. Questions for him. Hit the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. There's a lot to get to nationally, regionally. The governor has made it official. He is back. Did you see the video he released?
I watched it.
You know, he's got to be always driving that. Was it a Ford Bronco? Whatever the vehicle is. He's got a 4x4 and he's driving around. He's walking into restaurants.
Got the flannel.
Sitting down with people and asking them how they feel about things. It's like, oh my God.
The only thing was missing was a whistle, like a Oklahoma drill.
Yeah, whatever happened to the coach wall stuff? Are we dropping that now?
Well, I think as we said day one, that was not a good message.
No, it didn't last very long.
So it was good to put that one away.
I wish the American media would take a great look at the views of the people in Congress and find out, are they pro-America or anti-America?
Pat Kessler. Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
I can't trust Obama. He's an Arab.
Pat Kessler.
Tear down this wall.
I did nothing wrong at the Minneapolis airport.
Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
Pat Kessler.
And now, to help Dan break down all the tough questions in politics, it's our own
Pat Kessler.
Political Wonk.
I feel like a supermodel, except like times 10.
Oh, pull up your drawers. Pull up your drawers, my man.
With Dan Barrero on the Fan.
It is indeed that time again. Kessie is in studio with us. Texts available via the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, 646-86. Here's your toss-up text. It's a good one, I think, and it raises a question I was going to get into with you early before we talked about some of the news and political stuff of the day and the week. This comes from Clayton out of Rochester, Minnesota.
Hello, Clayton.
We are all assuming that All the President's Men was the Redford film that captivated Kessie, but what if a young Kessie had watched Jeremiah Johnson, grew out his beard, and headed for the mountains, betting on forgetting all the troubles that he knew?
What a great text.
That's second level right there.
Yeah, this guy right here is, Clayton is a writer.
Jeremiah Johnson.
How about
I remember
that?
I saw that film in the theater, I want to say Bloomington, Indiana, when I was in college. Yeah.
I did the beard thing and, kind of did the fake, I'm a woods guy with a plaid shirt, the whole deal, right?
And then you realize I'm a phony.
Yeah.
And you gave it up.
Yeah. I'm destined for first class on Delta.
But you can wear
Pretty much.
You can wear plaid in first class.
Yeah, you can.
In flannel.
That is really great. Yeah, I mean, I love pretty much everyone. Was he in a bad movie? Robert
Very
Redford?
few.
Yeah.
Very few.
Yeah,
man.
honest to God.
Very few.
I mean, these are, the movies, my favorites are, and you got to leave All the President's Men aside.
Yes.
Because that's everybody's favorite. But
if you left that one aside, what would be at the top of the list for you?
I loved you're not going to like this answer. It's just the traditional, normal, regular. I loved Butch Cassidy. Yeah. Loved The Sting. I mean, these are in my formative years, and I thought, man, I could be this guy. This appeals to me. I could be an outlaw.
The Sting is close to a perfect mass audience motion picture.
Yeah.
It really is. And you know what's funny? I mentioned this yesterday. I wonder if you'll agree. I was listening to somebody talk about The Sting, and they said, I watched The Sting again, and it reminded me, like, it's a good movie, but, it's kind of slow moving. And it is telling, because I'm not sure you could make The Sting the same way this year that you could then, because it was a slow-cooked film.
Oh, yeah.
It did take time to get there, but it's kind of sad that there's still not a place for that motion picture cooking.
Yeah, nobody has the patience.
No.
Now,
the payoff was just brilliant.
The movie that I've watched over and over the years is 3 Days of the Condor.
Outstanding
Which is probably, I can remember the lines, everything about it. And so, that was really one of my favorites. But he became such a big star, and he didn't really want to be that. He wanted to be more than that.
Yeah.
So He reinvented himself, and you could say changed the movie industry.
The other thing, the one thing we didn't get into yesterday, we spent a lot of time on him yesterday and a lot of good clips and so forth. But a component of his career that was essential to him, very important, that we didn't spend a lot of time on was the whole Sundance empire, because a lot of that for him was, look, I'm a movie star, so I have access to a lot of money. I can get movies made just on my name. I want to encourage young filmmakers, right? Independent filmmakers to follow their muse and to get somewhere. And that was the whole point of the Sundance experience, correct? Was to bring along that aspect of movie making and give individuals who didn't have the power that he had, because he could make a big movie anytime he wanted to because he was a great movie star, that he wanted to bring along others, and he's left behind that, the Sundance Film Institute, the awards, the whole bit. All of that started with Redford.
Absolutely did. And it was because of his dissatisfaction with who he was perceived to be. He was the number one romantic leading man, the handsomest guy in Hollywood. He had these blockbuster movies that he kept making over and over and over again. And it was almost as if he's asking himself, is this all there is? And he began making these independent films and giving others the opportunity to do the same. So he opens the Sundance Film Festival, named after Sundance Kid, right? So Sundance in Utah. And he is turning out these unknown directors like that people found out about, like Quentin Tarantino, and Steven Soderbergh. These are the people that Robert Redford created. And it's interesting because the elusive local angle of Robert Redford is a guy that I got to know a couple, 3 years ago, who answered the door as a young teen in Edina at their Edina home, opens the door, and it's Robert frickin' Redford standing there.
And so how the hell is that happen? What's the backstory?
Robert Redford came to this house in the late 70s because he wanted to do his own movies. He had been thinking about forming the Sundance, all of that. Mm-hmm. And this guy's mother, who I know, is Judith Guest, the Minnesota author.
Yes.
Who toiled in Edina. She was a stay-at-home mom.
Didn't we have this? We had somebody. Did we have him on? This now rings a bell with me. The name Judith Guest I remember well. There's some.
I feel like he may have written her.
Maybe he might have. That might have been what
Redford
it was.
came to town within the last 10 years, and we were trying to get him on.
Oh, that's right.
He was either at the Walker or somewhere at the Hennepin.
That's what it was.
Think about it.
You're right. Yeah. That's it.
And actually, Robert Redford's son briefly worked at the Walker Arts Center when my daughter was there.
Yeah, there you go.
And
that might have been the bit.
Who was the handsomest intern ever? So yeah, Judith Guest is this dude's mother. And she had been toiling. The kids would go to school. She was a stay-at-home mom, and she would write. And she's wrote for years. For years, and couldn't sell a book. She was turned down a couple of times, but she wrote the book Ordinary People, which took up Robert Redford's life, and that became his first movie that he ever directed. Well, here's the deal. He wanted to come over to the house in Edina. He knew her. He had bought the rights to this, and they were trying to develop the movie.
This is all coming back to me now.
And according to her son, he wanted to discuss a couple of ways to do a couple of scenes. Mm-hmm. So they didn't know when he was going to come over. She was making dinner, and he knocks on the door unexpectedly. They didn't know what time he'd be there, and there's Robert Redford. And so he sat down to dinner with them, and on the menu that night, and she didn't change it, hot dogs. So they're having hot dogs, sitting around talking, and then the kids went out and played, like we all did in the 70s.
Yeah.
You just go out and ride your bike till the street lights come on, then you come home. So that was they said he came alone, drove himself. Unassuming, funny, just really down to earth. So
I mentioned this yesterday, and I don't know if you've ever seen it. Obviously, you can't argue with that film, as you mentioned, the very first that he directed. It is a thing of cinematic marvel as far as I'm concerned. But I will tell you that a very underrated film that he also directed that rarely gets mentioned is the Milagro Beanfield War. And I'm just going to give you the cast of this film. This is based on a novel by John Nichols. Reuben Blades, Richard Bradford, Sonia Braga, Melanie Griffith, John Hurd, Daniel Stern, Christopher Walken.
Wow.
A tremendous cast. And the bit is it's an individual's fight. This is a Redford story. This is up his alley. One man's fight to protect his small bean field and community against a big, fat, large business interest, big fat cat developer, and major political interests as well. It is, and again, because of the this is in New Mexico, right? Because of Spanish is used a lot in this movie, right out of my family's history. Obviously, it resonated with our family when it first came out, and it's a hell of a motion picture that most people have not even heard of, let alone seen.
I've heard of it, and to my embarrassment, I have never seen it, but that's a great recommendation.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in years.
This is one that he produced, directed,
correct.
Did all of this.
He wasn't in it, but he produced and directed it.
Okay, that's really cool. And he was doing all of this stuff out of Sundance, and he became much bigger culturally for all of this, and did the movie Coda at Sundance, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture, one of my favorite movies. So that's a great recommendation. And Robert Redford.
What a run, man.
Yeah, I mean, in baseball movies, all of that.
All of it.
Yeah.
The combination, as you say, of being able to be a big, you could say, almost throwback Hollywood star.
Yes.
And still have this other component to him.
Great Gatsby.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah, so it was all there for him. And he didn't squander it, man. He did not squander it. 100% true.
Were you surprised that he was 89 years old?
Yes, I was. And have we heard, was he sick? Is it, 89, anything can happen? Who knows how that goes?
And he was a very private guy, and they asked for privacy, and I don't, of course we'll give him privacy, give him some space, but I want to know everything.
Well, think about this, too. As you know, he and Newman had developed a great friendship over the years.
That's what I loved.
Imagine, but I mean, if you just watch them in all of their physical beauty, the two of them together? Are you kidding me?
I mean, how handsome in
their heyday? I mean, you have to think about it. It's crazy.
And he also was one of these movie stars, extremely handsome. One of my favorite movies of all time, Cool Hand Luke.
Yes.
He was a guy who did not appreciate the spotlight.
No, he did not.
And he did not do the Hollywood thing, the movie star thing. He moved out to the East Coast somewhere, right? Connecticut, someplace.
That's exactly it.
And so these guys, they were probably just soulmates in this regard, and tried to do the right thing. And with Paul Newman doing the right thing, feeding people with his charitable organizations, all of that set up, it went a whole different direction also. So yeah, both these guys together, and I love them in Butch Cassidy. This is one of the, sitting in a movie theater when you're a tween, a very young teen, looking at this and you're going, oh my God, this is incredible.
And the story, and I didn't mention this yesterday, the story that Paul Newman tells, is that the person who identified Redford as the guy who needed to play opposite her husband in Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid was Joanne Woodward.
Really?
That's the person, more than anybody else, Paul Newman's wife, who said, that's the guy, because at that point he was not established. And that she was actually the moving force behind him being the guy playing opposite.
Yeah, I mean, because I see him sometimes on Twilight Zone or Perry Mason. These trying to get a foot in Hollywood. And yeah, I mean, it's just very cool. And I know it's probably blasphemy. I love The Natural. It's not my favorite baseball movie, but he just carries everything off.
He does.
Yeah.
Well, because he had enough athlete in him. He actually did play baseball, I think, before he dropped out of Colorado, right? And he wasn't the greatest student. That got pulled off as well. It was successful. A texter writes, much like Edina does with famous athletes loosely associated with it, can Edina now also claim Robert Redford as one of its own as well?
Let's ask Edina guy.
Based on what we've learned about
the Wikipedia
page, Edina will now take credit for Robert Redford being one of their own.
Well,
There's
why
no
not?
question, yeah.
Well, why not? I mean, the connection with Judith Guest. And Edina launched Robert Redford into his second half of his life, the most important part of his life.
There's no question.
They often say that he modeled Sundance after the Edina Art Fair. He went through the Edina Art Fair one day.
But it all goes back to there. Yeah.
We can do this.
He's inspired by it.
We can do this.
Eating hot dogs as he walks through the fair.
We just need some kettle corn and great art.
The Uptown Art Fair.
No.
The Edina Art Fair. Big difference.
I'm surprised you didn't know about it, Kessler.
Don't even talk about that.
Who's Siskel and who's Ebert? That's from Rob. Kind of a Siskel and Ebert. I'll take that. Yeah. That wouldn't be bad. That was a very good union for a long period of time. Speaking of individuals who really eschew, ESCHEUEW, the spotlight, the governor of the great state of Minnesota hates the spotlight.
Modest guy.
Very modest guy. He's back. It's now official. This story broke yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, yesterday.
And now it's official. He is running. He's trying for the three-peat. Is that correct?
That is correct. Governor Walz running for the three-peat, the third term. That's never happened in the state of Minnesota. This would be unprecedented for a governor to be elected to a third 4-year term. So, yeah, he's all in. The video was awesome. He's traveling all around Minnesota in his international scout. And by the way, Governor Walz can replace a clutch on a scout. Can you? I'm just asking. Can you, Dan?
No, I can't.
I mean, this dude can on a Saturday afternoon put the scout up, and he can he can fix the brakes, he can change a clutch. That's what he can do. How about you? That wasn't in the video, and I hope now that
I've mentioned it. Was that in the cutting room floor?
Now that I've mentioned it, because I know this to be true.
Right.
I want this to be in a commercial now.
Well, actually, it should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, why not?
So his
Lug guy, blue collar.
He's going all around saying that it's time for us to now come together.
So this is not one Minnesota, but he's saying it a different way?
Yeah, well, he is, but you think about what we've been through in the last 5 years. I mean, some serious stuff.
Yeah, very serious
and he's talking about that. Not specifically, but just reminding people that we've been through everything, pretty heavy news in the last 5 years, and including COVID, like George Floyd, the civil unrest, the riots. He ran for vice president, got hammered. The murders of
a horrific summer when it comes to violence here.
Violence here with Melissa Hortman, one of his closest friends, and her husband murdered,
and the school
the school shooting, Annunciation. All of this, and then are we seeing nationally? And then Charlie Kirk. Are we seeing nationally any kind of toning down, just calming influences anywhere? And I would argue, no. We're not really.
Yeah.
And my sense from watching this video a couple of times is that is kind of what he's aiming at. He's not saying it.
I agree.
But that's what he's aiming for. And who wouldn't want us all to come together? But seriously, this dude is facing pretty strong political headwinds. This is not a shoo-in.
That's true. In addition, if you had to pick... Well, I don't know how many Republicans have announced already, but of the ones who have and the ones who are rumored to, does one in your mind stand out as potentially the toughest challenger to Walz?
Well, the ones that are in right now, and I think there will be more, but the toughest ones are probably Kristen Robbins. She's a representative from the western suburbs. She heads up the fraud committee in the Minnesota House. She's very credible. Absolutely someone who could be formidable against him. Kendall Qualls, who has run once before, very solid candidate, business guy. And
isn't the doctor running again?
Scott Jensen.
Yeah.
Dr. Scott Jensen is running. I believe that he kind of made himself into something he wasn't or isn't.
He's trying to do the Sarwanga backpedal now.
He is.
I don't know if he's succeeding.
Back during the COVID and Matt Burke was his running mate, I mean, he was trying to magnify himself. And in my view, knowing him, that's not necessarily who he is. So now he's moving back a little bit. So those are the three, but I think there are a couple of other possibilities of people to come in. So you look at Governor Walz, though. I mean, he does have pretty strong headwinds with all the fraud in the state of Minnesota. That is absolutely real. And we keep hearing from the acting U.S. Attorney Thompson that there's going to be more of this. And so I think that validly Republicans can go after him on that particular issue. He got a lot of the bark worn off him during the vice presidential campaign. Man, he took a beating, and then the civil unrest, how he responded to COVID, all of that's really strong of headwinds that he's running against right now. But he has some positives too. I mean, who else in this state has 100% name recognition?
Amy Klobuchar would be the only other one.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably it's something that you could argue with her, but she's not running for governor. I mean, she's running in the U.S. Senate right now. And he's got 100% name recognition. I am told that he raised, they announced that he raised $1 million in 24 hours. So he's got a huge campaign.
Big war chest?
Huge, huge. There's a weak Republican field in general. We'll see if they can come up, but yeah, so this will be a hell of a race.
Let me get to one tweet. Someone who was listening to our conversation regarding the Redford legacy. And here's what he writes. I tried watching All the President's Men last night. I couldn't make it past 40 minutes. Too boring. What am I missing? I'm willing to try again. Too slow for me. Now, this could be...
Well, I get it.
This could be somebody trying to get us going. But it's not a bad analogy, what we were talking about earlier regarding a couple of other, you could say, Newman, in this case, Newman movies. Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute. That it's slow. I mean, movies, all the studies indicate people are just too impatient today. I think, again, All the President's Men, the reason I think it worked for people who weren't in the business was I thought it was a hell of a detective story. Forget the journalism part. If you just want to think of it as, okay, we're trying to get to where we need to go, it's a hell of a detective story, trial and error, knocking on doors, etc. But for me, that didn't make it slow. That, I think, captured the reality of trying to get to the story there, and the payoff was so great that it's okay that it took a while to get there. But a lot of people, and maybe individuals like this one, they can't wait long enough any longer.
Well, I think that's absolutely true, and I don't disagree at all. But part of the value of that movie at that time was that America was in shock over what happened with Richard Nixon and his resignation and how that came to be, how it came about. Two just rubes on the Washington Post, one of them covering the city. And so a lot of this has to do with the time. I hear you talking the last couple of days about baseball movies, your favorite baseball movie. And a lot of it has to do with when you watched it, where you were, your age, how you felt. Because one of my favorites is Bang the Drum Slowly with Robert De Niro.
Yep.
But going back to All the President's Men, this was something that captivated the country. And we are so numbed to it. We are so immune to outrage right now with politics today.
Correct.
That, yeah, it was slow, and our shock value is, we just don't have a shock value anymore.
No.
That was a shocking movie.
It was, and
but yeah, it was a detective movie.
It had several levels. What I'm saying is it was important, but for people who didn't want to think about that aspect of it, I thought it was absorbing just on that level. A mystery being solved by these two reporters who are up against all kinds of headwinds, obviously, of people within the administration, at times even the Washington Post, whatever the case may be. And I think I shake my head that I'm saddened that people can't stay with something just because there's not a payoff every 15 bleeping seconds. Some of the best stuff gets built up that way. Give it a chance to marinate. We don't let things marinate any longer.
And that's
I know, it's back in my day. That's what I'm doing.
I know.
I'm getting ripped.
You kids nowadays, are you?
That's fine.
I mean,
that's fine.
It is, but I still love Maltese Falcon and Casablanca, and I wasn't alive then.
No, that's a good point.
But so you can enjoy this.
Should be able to. All right, let's do it. We're a little behind. We got to get some breaking media news that's pretty significant. We're going to come back with that. We'll include a couple of things from Kessie involving the flag at half staff controversy as well, involving the president. We'll squeeze in a lot in our last segment for today with Kessie. Stay tuned.
Today you can join Papa Murphy's in supporting Annunciation Catholic School. Order online, use the promo code HOPE, and 50% of your purchase goes directly to the school. This is valid at all Minneapolis, Rochester, and Mankato locations. Come together, make a difference with Papa Murphy's today for Annunciation. Order online, use the promo code HOPE.
Massive broadcasting news. This is, several outlets are now writing it. This is a Brian Stelter combo platter with a couple of other bylines at CNN.com. Disney's ABC is taking Jimmy Kimmel's late night talk show off the air indefinitely amid a controversy over his recent comments about Charlie Kirk's suspected killer. Here's the quote from an ABC spokesperson. Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely. Without offering any other details, a representative for Kimmel did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The abrupt announcement came Wednesday evening, that's tonight, after at least one major operator of ABC-affiliated stations said it would not broadcast the show for the foreseeable future. That operator is called Nexstar. It said it, quote, strongly objects to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the killing of Charlie Kirk and will replace the show with other programming in its ABC-affiliated markets. During his Monday evening monologue, Kimmel suggested Kirk's alleged killer, Tyler Robinson, might have been a pro-Trump Republican. Quote, the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. And then there's a quote from your guy, the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, who told a right-wing podcaster named Benny Johnson today that the late-night host remark constituted, quote, the sickest conduct possible. Carr suggesting his FCC could move to revoke ABC affiliate licenses as a way to force Disney to punish Kimmel. Here's the quote, the money quote, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
I mean, that's just this side of a threat.
Well, it is a threat. So is it over for Kimmel? Is this the last we've seen of Jimmy Kimmel?
You know, I'm really wondering about this. Now, I'm reacting to this in real time because we just literally learned this. Number one, I guess you don't make comments about Charlie Kirk's murder. And the comments, although they're not as bad as some of the other ones that we have seen, this kind of gets people going. If you are going to go after MAGA and say that this, they're trying really hard to distance themselves from this. Remember, we don't know so much. We're beginning to get some of the information.
Yes.
So Nexstar, this is how it works, people. It's not always like the networks which control the television station in local markets. Many times they are. In fact, the carriers, like Nexstar, is a big media organization that owns and operates a number of stations, television stations around the country. And for them to say, we are not going to carry this because we're upset about these remarks, that's a big deal. These stations are going to run, test patterns or something. We don't know what they're going to run. So this comes in the context of two things. Number one, the Trump administration promising that it's going to go after what it calls hate speech. And President Trump himself specifically singling out ABC News yesterday with Jonathan Karl, in comments to Jonathan Karl, telling him he has hate in his heart and maybe we're going to investigate you. Also making comments a couple of months ago saying Jimmy Kimmel is next. We're going to go after Kimmel and get him off the air. So all of this is in a really hot political atmosphere. And who knows where this is actually going to end. But Jimmy Kimmel getting pulled off the air because of comments he made about Charlie Kirk, that's really big news.
You put me in the camp that I think what Kimmel said is asinine only because, to your point, if he's being anything close to fair, he's going to be willing to say, guess what? The folks on the other side of the aisle are trying to run as fast as they can to make this about somebody else, too. His unwillingness to do that is why I don't trust him on any political analysis. I never have. But again, I come from, and I've tried to be consistent with this over the years, I come from a place where I want to be able to criticize. I don't want anybody off the air. I don't think it should rise to that level, but that's the climate we're in. We're now playing the revenge game, and I'll be very curious to see, because so here's where I'm confused. Are there a number of different entities that all feed into the ABC brand in terms of the late night product, that in terms of stations as well, or that's what this means, instead of the old days where it felt like it was all under the same umbrella?
Right. There are a number of different organizations now, hedge funds, whatever, big companies that transmit these television programs on late night. So it's not always an ABC affiliate that will carry Jimmy Kimmel in some of these places. And this is not the first journalist or entertainer or somebody on television in the media who has made these kinds of comments in the last few days. And they range from people, we're sad about Charlie Kirk's death. I think everybody was just shocked at this despicable act and the reasons for it. And also that he was a provocateur, that this is somebody who went from town to town to town and literally debated people and wanted to do that. And now one of the criticisms, and I think this is something that Kimmel has said, and other people are saying it, that perhaps there are entities in this country that are exploiting Charlie Kirk's death for their own gain. And that's one of the things that I think we're debating right now. The Washington Post fired a longtime columnist for making some of these points in her column just a couple of days ago.
I don't know the name of the individual.
I have to look her name up. I had it right here a moment ago. But yeah, so these are things that are happening everywhere. The White House and the Trump administration is talking about the difference between free speech and hate speech, where the Attorney General said a couple of days ago that they're going to go after hate speech. Now, hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. You don't have to like it, as Charlie Kirk said, and some of it is vile and some of it is evil. But in fact, it's absolutely permitted under the U.S. Constitution.
Well, there's an organization called the Fire Organization, which is now fighting hard, basically saying, in fact, one of the big shots there, I think, is the executive VP. Nico Perino is his name, and he's firing back at a Republican congressman who is now threatening, saying to social media companies they must censor posts and ban users who say offensive things about the murder of Charlie Kirk. And this is what I love about the consistency, I think, of the fire.org. They're saying there is no illegitimate idea where the First Amendment is concerned. The congressman has no place jawboning social media companies into censorship. In fact, for the past 5 years, conservatives have rightly condemned government efforts to coerce private social media companies into censoring offensive speech. Yet that's exactly what is happening here. It was wrong then, and it's wrong now. And that's the great irony, because for a number of years, there were many, many lefties who said, you got to shut some of these crackpot righties up. And there's no consistency on this issue. When we feel like our side is being wronged, we think somebody's got to step in, by God. And the point of the Perino rant is, and a couple other people, is that if indeed some of the threats had been followed through with censorship back in the day, several years ago when Biden was in charge, the door would actually be opened for the righties to now even do more damage. And the hysteria is the inability to see this consistently, that if you believe in the Constitution and you believe that hate speech, as as much as we may be repulsed by it, is protected speech, you have to then hang on to that, even if you are repulsed by what the message is that's being conveyed.
And that is exactly what Charlie Kirk
He did,
preached.
yeah, you're right.
Every single day. Now, back to the Washington Post. I just found it. It's the Washington Post fired Karen Attiah, Attiah. I read the Post, and I've seen her every once in a while, opinion columnist, because she quoted Charlie Kirk. More accurately, she misquoted Charlie Kirk into saying something that he really didn't say, although the intent might have been similar. So people are being disciplined, fired. I've seen posts of members of Congress who want to go after people and take away their driver's licenses, that kind of thing. So there is a ton of this going on right now. And the Trump administration, I mean, let's face it, he promised he was going to get retribution.
Yeah.
I am your retribution. And he is, I will say, you don't have to like it, but he's been incredibly successful going after this.
715 guy, we got a break here and wrap up. This falls under the classification of, Gaardsy, you weren't here for this Friday, a rant I had regarding my willingness to accept being criticized for things I've actually said, but not willing to be criticized for things that are invented that I never did. Example, keep defending the shooter, boys, because if this was a liberal being shot and people said good riddance, you'd be losing your minds. I will ask 715 guy, even though I shouldn't, because I get the game. The game is, again, I've got to be the enemy. I've got to be projected as the boogeyman about things I haven't even said. There has not been one occasion, even close, in which I have defended the shooter in any way, shape, or form as recently as just this last segment. But that's the element that's very difficult to deal with and reason with, in that you project opinions onto people who haven't even come close to uttering them. And that's part of the reason we are as bleeped up as I think we've been in a long time.
And one of these things is that we have keyboard warriors all over this country going after each other. And people, I will say, because I see some of this on my own feed, check to see who it is, who's coming after you.
Right, yeah.
Because I think much of this is bots.
Well, some of it could be. You're exactly right.
I do. I mean, we're fomenting. We are fighting with ourselves. So we are our own enemies. And who's going to bring this down? As Governor Cox, very interesting dude, by the way.
Yeah.
Spencer Cox says, go out and touch some grass. And I say the same thing. Come on, people.
In your case, touch some vegetables.
Well, I brought vegetables in, and I'm very I'm hurt.
I'm sorry.
I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
We'll revisit this at a later date.
Yeah,
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for apologizing.
Thank you. That's Pat Kessler. We'll wrap things up next here in the Fan.
Show wrap presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper show wrap.
Lynx Game 2 first round, chance to wrap things up with a bow against the Golden State Valkyries. Our coverage will begin at 8:45 tonight on the flagship, FM 100.3 The Fan. Vikings X's and O's will follow us this evening. Tomorrow is a busy show. The return of Dr. Dan's Inbox. Russo Radio makes a bonus appearance. Maybe we'll get
Day
somewhere.
one of camp. Kaprizov scheduled to talk tomorrow.
That's it. Going to be a big day. And Sean Salisbury is scheduled to join tomorrow as well.
10 seconds.
Oh, we're out that early. Okay, well, I'll save my vitriol for tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you at 3 o'clock.